For more free African history resources, please go directly to our website or click the links below.
The History of Islam in Africa, Part 5. And so, Islam continued its spread across Western Africa and was solidified by its incorporation as the national religion by various other kingdoms, such as the Hausa Kingdoms and the Sokoto Caliphate. The Hausa Kingdoms. The Hausa Kingdoms were a grouping of West African states located between Lake Chad to the west and the Niger River to the east. The African ethnic group which populated these kingdoms and the area in general from 700 AD are known as the Hausa people. The Hausa Kingdoms included Kano, Katsina, Zazu, Gobir, Rano, Daura, and Biram, and were founded in 1000 AD. The 7 Hausa city-states never unified, but they cooperated very closely. A leader named Muhammad Korra became the first Muslim king to rule the kingdom of Katsina, and in 1348 AD, he constructed the Katsina royal palace named Gidan Korra. Each of the states within the Hausa kingdoms had their own primary functions. For example, the cities of Kano and Rano handled the dyeing of fabrics. Katsina and Dura handled the majority of trade. Gobir were very strong in the area of military and defense, and Zaria handled the supply of labor. Islam was to become an important part of the Hausa culture. The religion seems to have first appeared in the region via merchants and pilgrims, but conversion was slow. Kings and rulers were attracted to the new religion, perhaps for the prestige it granted them in the eyes of other great Islamic states. The common people gradually adopted Islam and generally practiced it along with ancient Hausa religious customs. Later, Arabic script was eventually adopted for writing the Hausa language, and this was known as Ajami script. Islam became firmly integrated into Hausa society, though traditional African spiritual beliefs would remain common in the region. The powerful Hausa kingdoms continued to prosper well into 1800 AD. The Sokoto Caliphate. By 1804 AD, the Sokoto Caliphate was established within the region of modern-day northern Nigeria in Western Africa. The Sokoto Caliphate ultimately became one of the largest states in West Africa, and it was also known as the Sultanate of Sokoto. This is the same region where the Hausa kingdoms had previously been established back in 700 AD. This region, specifically between the Niger River and Lake Chad, was largely populated with the African ethnic groups of the Hausa and the Fulani. Soon, a West African Fulani Islamic scholar known as Sheikh Usman Danfodio became extremely influential within the area. He was born in 1754 AD in the village of Marata in the Hausa city-state of Gobir in modern-day northern Nigeria. Being highly educated, he was well-versed in philosophy, the Islamic sciences, theology, and he also wrote poetry. Sheikh Usman Danfodio was responsible, along with many others, for the continuing expansion and adoption of Islam across the region with hundreds of followers, and by 1803 AD was selected as a leader of the community. Sheikh Usman Danfodio became concerned with the practices of the ruling class of Hausa leaders and wanted to ensure a pure and strict adherence to Islam was being practiced in the land. By 1804 AD, Sheikh Usman Danfodio had firmly established the Sokoto Caliphate. By 1808 AD, the Sokoto Caliphate had been successful in conquering the cities of Gobir and Kano. The second ruler of the Sokoto Caliphate was Muhammad Bello, who was the son of Usman Danfodio. Muhammad Bello was also an avid historian and teacher of the Islamic sciences and increased the education of women in the kingdom. kingdom. He also established Islamic courts. The kingdom expanded in size, eventually becoming one of the largest states in Africa and controlling over 30 territories. In one of his literary works, Sheikh Ousmane Danfodio states the following: "The government of a country is the government of its king without question. If the king is a Muslim, his land is Muslim. If he is an unbeliever, his land is a land of unbelievers. In these circumstances, it is obligatory for anyone to leave it for another country." Sheikh Ousmane Danfodio's daughter was Nana Asmau, and she was a Fula princess, poet, and teacher. Nana Asmau created a large body of poetry in Arabic, the Fula language, and Hausa. Many of these were historical narratives, but they also include elegies, laments, and admonitions. Her poems of guidance became tools for teaching the founding principles of the caliphate. The Sokoto Caliphate from 1808 AD entered into a period of peace and prosperity, and they took control over the previously established trans-Saharan trade routes. They eventually controlled a vast territory and the largest in Western Africa at the time. As such, they were able to engage in large-scale agriculture, growing shea nuts, cotton, indigo, cola nuts, grain, and rice, with trade conducted using gold and cowrie shells. Plantation villages were created near to the cities of the Sokoto Caliphate to feed their populations. The population of the Sokoto Caliphate eventually grew to some 20 million people. Individual emirates within the region each managed a budget and were compelled to send only their tax surpluses to the capital. Islamic scholarship was a crucial aspect of the caliphate from its founding, and they devoted significant time to chronicling histories, writing poetry, and Islamic studies. They developed a number of manuscripts which provided crucial historical information and important spiritual texts. The Sokoto Caliphate continued to reign supreme in Western Africa until 1903 AD.